For sure. So any connection to modern day cryptids, UFOs, in your opinion?
Well, let me tell you something interesting here. So,
And you brought up Bigfoot earlier, so
did yeah, and we're on Sasquatch Drive. We're on Sasquatch Drive here.
We are.
So, yeah. So, again, I've been fascinated by, certainly Bigfoot, as most people have for a long time, and as a cryptid for sure. And it's fascinating because, I pastored a church in Southwest Washington, right at basically the gateway to Mount St. Helens.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't get any hotter than there.
No. And when I was there, the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, the church I was at was truly like, if you went northeast, hundreds and hundreds of miles you would go before you got to the east side of the Cascades. So this is Bigfoot country, 100% that area. And in talking to people there, several people in the church are like, "Oh, I've seen him. It's not about a belief around here. People have seen him." And these are people that have hunted, their entire life. And so you insult them when you say, "Are you sure it wasn't a bear?" they would be like, "I'm going to punch you in the face. I know what a bear looks like.
I know what a bear looks like.
I've killed many bears, so, and I've gutted them and I've skinned them. So I know what a bear looks like. This was not a bear." So, but all that to say is that there comes a point, in research, in scientific research, where, anecdotal evidence, and we're talking about military, we're talking about ex-police, we're talking about forest rangers, sheriffs, you name it. All these very reputable people are going, "No, I know what I saw." Okay. But secondly, a couple weeks ago, I was at the Tim Alberino conference in Montana.
Yeah, in Bozeman.
And it was a good conference and a lot of interesting things. But one of the fascinating speakers there, who I had watched all of his material, was David Politis. Okay. Missing 411. Well, he's not just involved in missing 411. That's a whole nother fun topic, or kind of weird topic, scary topic in many ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Serious topic. But he did a presentation on Bigfoot, and he said, "Listen, I've written a lot on Bigfoot. I've studied this, of course, because it interacted. It was interacting with UFOs. That's a whole nother story. But this presentation that he gave was his latest research, and what I appreciated about this presentation, and I'm looking to find it, I want to get it. I'd actually pay money for it. Is he said, "Listen, I'm going to talk about Bigfoot today, and I'm just going to give you 100% science, 100% science." So what he did was, the day before, Tim was speaking about the Paracas skulls and a lot of stuff that I had done with LA and down in Peru and our DNA research, etc. So, that's a whole nother story. But Politis said, "Hey, tomorrow," he said, "this morning you guys were talking about all the stuff that LA and they were talking about the DNA." He goes, "Tomorrow, make sure to come to my message because I'm going to reveal some things that connect with that." And I was like, so I called LA, "When's the last time you talked to David Politis? Do you know what he's going to talk about?" He goes, "No, I haven't talked to him in a while." So, okay. So I'm sitting there front row, man. I'm like front row. So he goes through and he's giving his presentation, but he says, "We got DNA from Bigfoot, from Sasquatch." And he said, "Look, I sent this off to hair experts, and the hair experts, when they're looking at this hair under electron microscopes and stuff, they're like, this isn't human. Just the way it's designed is definitely not human hair, etc. We don't know exactly what it is, but from this is not typical human hair." Okay. So he said, "Look, scientifically over here, hair's not human." He goes, "But then we sent it in for DNA." He goes, "And the way that we were able to get the DNA is we put tape around these trees.
Tape.
There's packing tape, right?" And he says, "We put like bacon grease up really high, 10 feet. Well," he goes, "we had to get the hair with the follicles." He goes, "We got hair with follicles." So they sent it in. And the DNA, he goes, "This is where it matches up with what LA was doing." He said, the DNA came back on the mother's side, the mitochondrial DNA, which we got a lot of from the ancient DNA, but we could not get the nuclear side, which is the paternal side, the father side. The DNA that we had is ancient, so it was very degraded. nuclear DNA degrades much more depending on its preservation, et cetera, et cetera. Well, he got something that was recent, right? It wasn't ancient. So when he got the results, he said, we got the mitochondrial DNA, and the DNA, he goes, it connects with what LA found, which is what we found. It comes from the Middle East, the maternal line.
Tropes, yeah.
All the haplogroups, yep.
Haplogroups,
So,
that's it.
yep. So then, well, that worked too.
Yeah,
we understood context, right? It worked.
You knew what I meant.
I knew what you meant. So he said, but the nuclear DNA matches nothing in the genetic database. So the mitochondrial DNA showed that it was human. The male side, nothing showing in the genetic database. So what does that show? It shows a hybrid. He said, this is kind of weird because the hair is not human, but the DNA is a hybrid, which is Genesis 6, 100% right out of the book. And so you have a human woman side and an unknown father side, which is exactly what we have again in Genesis 6. And so when we think about these cryptids or these other things like that, what do we say? Well, we're still lacking a lot of information, but what we know is we have, for the first time, we have DNA evidence that this creature is a hybrid. To me, this isn't, we've gone past the tinfoil hat,
Agreed.
We're beyond that now. We're beyond the, can we just, see, this is where conventional archaeology just has a hard time because they're not allowed to talk like this. But we're after data. We're after, for our work in Peru, which I won't get into, except to say we took 18 samples from, or 58 samples from 18 different skulls, bone, teeth, hair, etc. From, just to be redundant, sent them to several labs. They came back. I listed it all in a graph. It all came back perfectly matching. Double blind studies. It wasn't contaminated because we couldn't find nuclear DNA. Look, if my DNA was in there, it would have been like, oh, we found the nuclear DNA.
Exactly.
Okay. Clearly. So it wasn't in there. So it just reminds us that what we're dealing with, and right now with these cryptids, that we're beyond just anecdotal, which to me is interesting. There's footprints. I encourage people to check out Jonathan Dover, a Navajo Ranger. You can see here, he's done a lot of stuff. He's on Blurry Creatures a couple times, but he's done his own presentations.
So doesn't he work out at Space Wolf? Or is that another Navajo Ranger?
Well, I think he just retired in the past couple of years, I think, but he might have been there. I don't know, but he goes, oh, I tracked Bigfoot.
There was two of them. There was two of the Navajo Rangers, and their story's amazing. Amazing.
Yep. And the guy's a born again Christian. He's like, look, I don't have an axe to grind. I didn't walk into this. Right. He goes, but I can just tell you that I tracked him. I tracked Bigfoot for like a mile. I footprint, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of a field, it just vanishes. So these are when we talk about fun stuff, mysterious stuff, fringe stuff, blurry stuff, using that, it's a good word.
Yeah, it is.
Here we are. And I find it amazing.
What's amazing with David and the DNA that he's talking about is that so many of the labs that tested that stuff had no idea what they were testing. Nope. And that's just amazing to me. Like, they went through their protocols and did everything. And that's one of the things that, like, the study that doesn't really talk about, is that they literally, well, it's because people won't acknowledge it.
They won't acknowledge it.
But yes, just amazing. Yeah. He's got a lot of info. There's just, that whole DNA study's fascinating. It gets very sciencey very fast, but one of the other big things with that is that the hair, normal human hair, you can get DNA just from the human hair. You don't need the tag. And they could draw no DNA from the hair at all. So they had to get skin tags to even get the mitochondrial DNA, which is
absolutely.
So
it was interesting because one of the slides that he showed, which was great. He said, look, here's a normal human hair. And if you see inside of the hair is this tube. It's just, it's clear. He said, and the DNA is in there. He goes, but here is this non-human hair, which again, purportedly was Sasquatch hair. Yep. And he says, look at it, it's fragmented. And he goes, you can't, so therefore that tube is broken up. That's why you can't get DNA. That's why you needed the follicle in order to get the skin. And so, again, our world is tremendously interesting. And, some Christians can't handle it. Some academics can't handle it. And again, whatever their motives are, I don't know. I don't read hearts. But the fact of the matter is, to me, I'm here to follow the data and the evidence, but also to be cautious. It doesn't mean I'm jumping into every conspiracy theory. Yeah, there is. But hey, and so I was just talking to LA today about it, because we're going to reach out to David Politis, because what we've done is we've taken some of our DNA and we've run it through what's called next generation sequencing, which is just, again, technology is moving really, really fast.
So fast.
And it's able to show us much more of the makeup and the percentages of what this a human being or creature or any sort of thing that you would send in. It could be like, oh yeah, well, this is definitely 70%, or this is 98% chimpanzee. Okay, because what the genome project that they've worked in the database is all open, and you're able to plug it in there, and you go, oh well, this again, here it is. So what we were able to, LA is going to be sharing this in the future. So kind of a little sneak peek here is that some of the stuff that we discovered with the Paracas skulls is that they're like only 96%, human, which is very, very fascinating. And so we're continuing trying to get better DNA in order to run this next generation sequencing. But can you imagine to be able to do this with this recent hair? And so we're going to try to connect him in, see if he can do some next generation sequencing on this stuff to get even a better profile of what it is.